Welcome to the 4th&Long Podcast. I'm your host, Cameron Thrash. Joined with me is my good friend, Jace Long. Jace, how's it going, brother?
Good, man. How are you?
Pretty good. Excited for some NFL football today. I haven't watched too much of it, though. Excited to talk about yesterday, and yeah, let's just get it going. So I have 5 takeaways from Week 9. Probably could have came up with 10 of them. We'll just talk them out. My number 1, Georgia gets up for big games.
Kirby Smart will always get his team up for big games.
It's crazy how that happens. You see them play against South Carolina, Auburn, Vanderbilt, and they're in games with those teams that they shouldn't be in games with. And then they play a better team on paper, and they just beat the shit out of them.
I think I gave credit to Florida way too much in this game.
Okay.
Not a Mertz believer. I don't know why I thought they could hang, but I did.
I think I did the exact same thing. I was really high on Florida, and obviously their biggest win is Tennessee at home. But after that South Carolina game, I was really excited for their offense with Graham Mertz and Ricky Pearsall. But, man, Georgia shut them down. This game was over with 10 minutes left in the second quarter.
And after that first drive, Florida started out so good. You thought it was going to be a hell of a game.
Exactly. I could not believe it turned out like that. And that 4th-and-1 to start the second quarter by Billy Napier, that was insane. What a crazy call on that one. A halfback pass on 4th-and-inches. It just did not make sense.
There's a reason why Florida fans are wanting him fired.
Absolutely. I still think it's early. I still think he needs some more time, but damn, they do have a really good recruiting class and I think a 5-star quarterback coming in next year, even though they were supposed to have one coming in this year and didn't want to pay him. Golly. But so another takeaway, moving on to the second one, the Big 12 could be left out of the playoff entirely.
Especially now.
Do you think they could have even before?
I think if you leave out any conference champion, it'd have to be the Big 12. That was before the game.
Yep, okay. Oklahoma going down yesterday. Obviously, we'll talk more about that. Texas already losing to Oklahoma. A 12-1 Big 12 champion might not make it to the playoff.
You think 2 SEC teams can get in if Bama beats LSU and wins out?
I don't think.
That's
tough. I don't think so. I think it's packed in other areas because I know they want 2 Big 10 teams really bad. And there's a likelihood that will happen over 2 SEC teams, in my opinion.
God, I hate the Big 10. I would rather watch the grass grow than watch Big 10 football.
Man, it's tough. We'll talk about that Ohio State and Wisconsin game later. But, man, even that was a big matchup. The best matchup of the day in that conference. And, gosh, it was rough to get through. All right, third point out of 5. Still got a long way to go. The ACC is just weird. I can't figure it out. I feel like it's Florida State, and then they're on Tier 1, and then everybody else is on Tier 5. That's the separation to me.
There's one thing you need to know about the ACC.
Okay.
And it's that NC State is not a damn basketball school.
That's crazy. Who was that? Steve Smith said that?
Yep.
Oh, he was mad about that. Good gosh. But the NC State's not a basketball school to begin with. They've never been that good in basketball. All right, so the ACC is just weird, meaning Florida State blew out a mediocre Wake Forest team, and mediocre is probably giving them a little too much credit. Notre Dame beat the hell out of a Pittsburgh 58-7. The same Pittsburgh team that beat a 1-loss Louisville team. That Louisville team shut out Duke yesterday. The Duke team, exactly. Duke beat Clemson, and we'll talk about Clemson here in a second. But Clemson lost to NC State, so it's just a full circle, and I just don't even know what to think about them. I really don't.
And Duke should have beat Notre Dame.
Yes, they had plenty of opportunities. They had the ball with 3 minutes left. They should have. Let's see, number 4, and we could go on and on about this. Clemson is heading into a dark, dark place.
Man, I think Dabo only has one more season of that, and he's going to be looking for a new job.
Yeah, I feel you. On Saturday Down South, they were talking about how Dabo might take a break after this season, and I fully understand it. I really do. I'm getting closer to that opinion myself. But like a dark place, meaning we've seen Florida be at the top of the mountain, and then now these past 5-6 years, even longer than that, they just haven't been the same Florida team. Texas just apparently got back this year, even though they're not all the way back. Tennessee had a long drought, and then Nebraska. They used to run the '90s, obviously, and it's a dark place. It really is. They are on the verge of going into that place.
And they really have no excuse. They have 5-star talent all over the field.
All over the place. It's just Dabo is hurting them. He's hurting them. It's his own pride getting in the way with the transfer portal, NIL. I mean, you have to adapt, and he's staying in his ways.
Looks like Les Miles is running that offense.
God, that offense is horrible. It's horrible. All right, my fifth and last takeaway from week 9, then we'll get into some games that happened. Blowouts suck, man. Blowouts suck. There were huge games yesterday. Georgia, Florida, Oklahoma, not Oklahoma and Kansas. That was a great game. Let's see, Florida State, Wake Forest, Oregon, and Utah. And you could even say Ohio State and Wisconsin was kind of it was never a blowout, but it was ugly. Texas and BYU was also a blowout that I didn't expect. There was some more I'm forgetting probably, but man, just a rough day. Duke and Louisville, 23-0. It's just blowouts just suck.
Yeah, it's such a horrible day for college football yesterday. I mean, there's two or three good games, but man,
yeah, man, it was rough. It was rough. All right, let's get into some talking about the games. The game of the day, shocker of the day, Oklahoma loses to Kansas 38-33.
Man, start off with a huge hell yeah to Kansas. I remember
Absolutely.
a few years ago, they were the laughingstock of college football. Leopold has that team going in the right direction, and I'm here for it.
You want to talk about a basketball school? That is Kansas. And now what they're doing on the football field, I mean, they started off 5-0 last year, started off 4-0 this year, I believe, and now they're 6-2. They're going to be a ranked team in week 10. It really is crazy to think about. So they haven't beat Oklahoma, I think, close to 30 years. So just a huge statement win for that team. Remember, this is a backup quarterback. This is not even Jalen Daniels. This is Jason Bean taking over a really good Kansas team and coming out with a huge win.
And Oklahoma and Texas going to SEC, man. Big 12's wide open for them.
It is. It absolutely is. Who runs that conference when they leave? Who takes over?
Kansas is looking like it.
Yeah,
Baylor,
Kansas.
Terrible.
Oh my gosh, both Kansas teams, Kansas State. That's crazy to think about. That is really crazy to think about.
That's a fun fan base to have a good team. So
yes,
I'm happy
is.
for them. I'm here for it.
I am too, man.
That game was such an old school Big 12 game.
It was. It was.
No defense, high powering offense. Really fun to watch.
Yep. And Kansas, they started off 14-0, and even at that point, I was like, they'll get up early. I think Oklahoma still comes back, and then a rain delay. I think it was a lightning delay, pushed it 30 minutes back, and Oklahoma went up 21-14. And I pretty much thought it was over at one point in the third quarter, but Kansas kept coming back. And then Jason Bean threw a terrible interception on a halfback screen late in the fourth quarter, but they held their ground and got the ball back and drove right down the field and scored it.
There's there to be no defense in that game. They were hitting some people.
Absolutely.
Really fun.
Absolutely. All right, second game of the day. This is probably the number one matchup of the day. This is what we were all excited for. Georgia and Florida. Georgia wins this game 43-20. Carson Beck, what a day. What a day.
God, dude. I can't stand Carson Beck, but I agree. What a day. What
Man,
a day
he
for
had
I don't know why people still doubt him, but man.
Yep. So without Brock Bowers, which on everybody's saying is the best player in college football, and I might be on an island with this. And I know how good Brock Bowers is, but I feel like they're using that term a little too loosely with the best player in college football term. Even though he is fantastic, could be the greatest tight end of all time. But I just feel like that term's getting thrown around a little loosely, but it didn't matter today. It did not matter. Carson Beck threw it to some man. He threw it to everybody. Their running back had a really good game. I think Dejon Edwards. He had a really good game. I think almost 100 yards. And they just did whatever they want to Florida after that opening drive.
Georgia seems like a team that just has like a few random white dudes that just go off every game.
Yes. Ladd McConkey had a day.
What a name, Ladd McConkey.
Crazy. What a lad.
What a lad.
All right. So I was really excited about this game because I thought maybe Georgia will lose this game. We haven't seen a regular season loss from Georgia since 2020 because they lost to Alabama in the SEC championship game 2021 and then haven't lost since then. So we haven't seen a loss from Georgia since 2020. That's crazy to think about.
I don't want to get too ahead on ourselves. We got previews next week and everything, but that Mizzou game is going to be crazy.
It's okay. I got a question for you then. If you had to bet $1,000 if Georgia loses one of the next 3 games versus Missouri at home, versus Ole Miss at home, and then at Tennessee, would you bet that they lose one of those games or they remain undefeated?
Like I said, it's hard.
$1,000.
$1,000. That's big money. Well, maybe
Big
not
money.
to you, but
oh yeah, okay.
Like I said, it's hard to doubt Kirby. If I had to put money on it, I gotta say they go undefeated.
I think I would too. And today, if you had asked me before this game kicked off, I would have said, yeah, out of those 4, Florida, Missouri, Ole Miss, and Tennessee, I think they lose one of those. But after this performance, I know Florida is maybe worse than we expected or not as good as we thought they were. But I don't think I could pick Georgia to lose. I really don't. Moving on to the game day, where game day was at today. Utah, Oregon takes down Utah 35-6, and this surprised the hell out of me, Jason.
Yeah, man, Utah's a good team, and Oregon just completely dominated them.
From every part of the game, Oregon dominated. Like you said, like you told me earlier, Oregon's offense is, I think, on paper, the second best or the number 1 in the country. And what they did today on the defensive side is the most impressive to me. It just doesn't get talked about enough.
Yeah, also Bo Nix showed why he's been in college football for 15 years.
Exactly. That maturity.
Got to be in a Heisman conversation above J.J. McCarthy.
We'll get to that later. Don't worry about that. That's been pissing me off all week. But yeah, Utah has not had a good offense all year. They really haven't. I mean, I don't know how many times they've gotten over 30. I can't really think of it off the top of my head, but it hasn't been too many times. And they put up 14 points on UCLA, with one of those being a defensive touchdown. They put up 7 on Oregon State. And so it's just not a very high-powered offense. They did put up 34 against USC last week, but who couldn't do that? But yeah, Oregon just shut them down. And Utah is a good team. That's the really cool part about it. But 35-6, complete domination. All right, let's move on. Or you can go ahead.
One more thing about that game. I am the biggest SEC fan there is, and I just got to say the Pac-12 is freaking awesome this year.
How good has that damn conference been?
Man, every game is fun to watch.
Every game. Okay, what other game do we want to talk about here? We'll talk about another ranked matchup, or probably close to ranked matchup. I don't think Kentucky's ranked. Tennessee beats Kentucky 33-27.
That was actually a really fun game.
It really was, man. Devin Leary had his best game at Kentucky by far, by a mile. I think he had almost 300 yards pass. I can't think of the top of my head.
I think he had over 300 yards.
Okay.
I can tell you the exact number.
Yes, tell me that.
So Devin Leary, to me, horrible quarterback. Horrible.
Oh, he's been rough.
He was 28 of 39 for 372, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions.
Gosh almighty. And I said he barely got 300. That's
closer to 4. Joe Milton, 18 of 21, 228 and a touchdown.
18 of 21. Oh, my gosh. Yeah, you would never think it would be a quarterback duel between these teams. You really wouldn't. Or I
No.
think Tennessee leads the SEC in rushing, and Kentucky's not far behind them. So I thought this game would be pretty much prioritized on the ground, but nope. They let them sling it. They let Bazooka Joe and the second best transfer portal quarterback of this offseason
Good
sling the
God.
ball.
Devin
So
freaking Leary, man. It's
I
like
can't believe
perfect.
it.
Every time I talk bad about somebody, they show up. So
I feel you. I feel you. Dane Key had a day. But man, we're talking about the loser too much. Tennessee, what a win going into Kroger Field. Um, Bob Stoops or Mark Stoops, excuse me. He's wanting some more money to pay his players, get a better team in there, and for all those comments, he's got to win games like this. He's got to win
got
games
to.
like this.
He's never going to get fired. It's Kentucky, but you can't talk so much crap and then not show up.
I know it, man, and just the way it was to the fans, just a very weird. I know that was weeks back, but it's still funny to look back on.
What's crazy
At
is
the
they
end of
got.
that,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
What's crazy
At
is they
the end
got
of that
this.
ball game,
They got this number 2 ranked transfer portal quarterback, Devin Leary, and they're worse now than they were 2-3 years ago when they had a freaking wide receiver playing quarterback.
oh, Lynn Bowden, you don't ever forget
Lynn
about those
Bowden,
days.
man, I loved it.
I think I watched his highlights about 2 or 3 weeks back. Just a stud. But Kentucky, I think the commentator said something about this, but me and Kelsey's brother were watching this. He had money on this game, I believe, and we were watching this game, and 2 or 3 times a Kentucky defensive lineman would go down faking an injury, and I think the commentator said something about it. Well, the last, I think 44 seconds. It was 44 seconds on the clock. It was third down for Tennessee, meaning that they had to run one more play and probably punt the ball. If I have that correct. Kentucky was out of timeouts, but the play clock did not allow Tennessee to just knee the ball out. And for some reason, I think Kentucky had a defensive player go down like injury trying to stop the clock. And the thing was, Kentucky didn't have any timeouts. So there was a 10-second runoff because of that. And that was the ball game. They didn't have to snap another play. So it just kind of bit them in the ass on that one. But yeah, that was a really funny way to happen. Josh Heupel, he's done such a good job at Tennessee.
Yeah, it's really turned it around.
Absolutely.
I don't know much
Let's
about their
see.
depth chart, but Joe Milton's going after this year. I don't know how they're going
Yes.
to look after him, but I don't imagine it can get much worse.
Man, apparently a lot of fans are calling for their second string quarterback. His name's Nico. I don't know how to pronounce his last name. It's a wild last name. I'd have to do some more research on it, but his name's Nico, and apparently he's pretty good. But why is everybody's backup quarterback so much better than their starter? Why do fans think that?
I remember Mississippi State week 3 college game day went on live TV and said that Garrett Nussbaum might start over Jaden Daniels.
Oh my gosh, the future Heisman winner, Jaden Daniels. I wish we could talk about him this week, but nope. We got to wait till next
God,
week, or
me
we got to wait
too.
till the preview show.
I talk about him every day.
Don't show the homerism, man. Don't show the homerism,
I'll try not to.
especially on the first episode, man. Good gosh.
Yeah, I know.
All right, let's move on to a different game. Or go ahead.
I'm rocking my LSU shirt, drinking a beer.
Are you? Man, you
Yep.
got the day off tomorrow, don't you?
Yep, Monday and Tuesday.
What a life. I would like to have Mondays off because Sundays just don't even feel like a weekend because I got to work in the morning. But all right, let's move on to a different game. Jace, what game you want to talk about?
Let's go to the game that pisses me off the most. Let's do USC Cal.
USC Cal. What a crazy game this was.
Yeah.
I wrote down a quote. Actually, it's just the same. Lincoln Riley is the definition of offense wins games and defense wins championships. His name should be attached to that quote.
Yeah, man. It just follows him everywhere he goes. I don't know how he
It's
does it. USC has more money and they know what to do with. Get
oh
some
my
players on defense.
gosh. How does that make sense? How does it make sense?
They got to get out of the top 25. If they're still in the top 25 after yesterday, man, it's crazy. Florida
I
hasn't been
think they
ranked
will
all
be.
season.
I think they will be. I know it. I know it. I think they will be ranked though. Still, that's just how the AP poll works. But
Yep.
Alex Grinch, USC's defensive coordinator, cannot keep having a job. What does he have on Lincoln Riley? He has some information. He has some blackmail on him or something. Good gosh.
He's got to. I just think it don't even matter at this point. Lincoln Riley has to game plan around the defense.
Okay, yeah,
He
I
gets
feel you.
used to it. That defense is so bad.
Um,
Cal's fifth string running back, who wasn't even listed on the depth chart, was having success running the ball.
I just rewatched that fourth quarter about an hour ago, trying to freshen up with my memory on that one. But man, you said you like the 2-point conversion call?
Yeah, man, I like it. Cal's not a good team. You're trying to beat a pretty solid USC team. Go for it. Because in overtime,
Yes.
I mean, no one was stopping nobody. So
Yeah, that's
why
true.
risk it?
So USC survives 50-49, and they move on to what are they 6-2 or 7-2? 6-2, right?
I think so.
Josh Pate on his podcast was talking about how Lincoln Riley looks like a guy that's got 1 foot in college football right now and 1 foot in the NFL. And a lot of people are agreeing with that. A lot of people are saying that he could have a job in the NFL next year instead of college.
Yeah, man, I don't know. He's a good recruiter and all that. But, I mean, he's got life made at USC. Let's see why he'd leave.
Yes. Yep.
He's
All
he's
right.
not a championship caliber coach. I mean, it's
I
pretty
don't
well
think he
proven
is
at this
either.
point.
I don't think so. And I mean, obviously he hasn't done it yet, and he could. I mean, he could. He just needs one thing to get right. But it's crazy. I don't think he prioritizes it.
So I have a question for you.
Yep.
If you think, do you think if Lincoln Riley takes the LSU job and gets Caleb Williams transferred to LSU, do you think he is the exact same as at USC, or do you think he has more success or less success?
Ooh, that's tough because LSU's defense has been so bad. Their secondary has been so bad.
Oh my God,
It's
dude.
crazy to think about that. Like when he comes to, if he would have came to LSU, he might still have the same defense he has at USC. That's crazy. But I think, yeah, I think he would be better at LSU. He'd have. Um, I want to say he'd be better at LSU. I mean, there's several reasons why he wouldn't. There's several reasons why every game would be a lot more tougher on him because of the defense, because the offense is in the SEC, and because of just how physical it is in the SEC. So I don't know. I might lean towards no. I might lean towards that he needs to stay in conferences that he's in, like less physical conferences, and have shot at playoffs even with less physical teams and more offensive driven teams.
Yeah, man, he's got to change something. Just
He's got to.
best team I had was 2017 when they lost to Georgia.
Yes. Yep. I mean, even last year they had an opportunity to go to the playoff if they beat Utah. And that's crazy to think that USC team could have been in the playoff. I mean, it could have been ugly for them, but who knows? I mean, it couldn't get more uglier than TCU and Georgia.
Well, I know no one probably wants to hear about this, but Arkansas fans. But you think Pittman's done?
I honestly don't think so. And I would be fine with him being done. That's the thing. I love Sam Pittman, and most Arkansas fans do love Sam Pittman as a man, as a person. But the football has not translated well, and his specialty is offensive lineman, and we might have one of the worst offensive lines in the country. I mean, seriously, it's that bad. But with the firing of Dan Enos, our offensive coordinator, I keep saying "our." I'm a huge Hogs fan. For anybody listening that doesn't know that, huge Razorback fan. Unfortunately, need to add that. But with the firing of Dan Enos, I think he has not proved himself, but I think he has bought himself another year. Now, if we go winless or just beat FIU in 2 weeks and just go 3-9, he definitely still could be out. 3-9 is just horrible.
Man, I think the Mississippi State game was atrocious.
It was ugly.
Auburn, who can't incorporate a forward pass in their offense.
Put up 27 on them.
Put up 27 on them.
Oh man, yes, it's terrible to think about. That same Auburn team, they beat Cal 14-10 in week 2. So that's a thing to throw in there.
Let's appreciate how terrible our hot takes were preseason. My hot
All right,
take preseason was that Auburn would be a dark horse in the SEC.
what's a dark horse mean in that?
Just make a run, beat teams you're not supposed to beat. They have yet to do
Okay,
that.
okay, I would have agreed with you. What was my hot
Your
take?
your take was absolutely atrocious. You
Oh,
thought
Mississippi State.
Mississippi State, man. Yeah, what a bad take.
That is a horrible take. Horrible. I think I picked them 8-4, maybe 9-3.
Yeah, I wasn't feeling that. First year head coach, man, how he regressed Will Rogers is mind blowing.
I cannot. That's just you can't even wrap your head around it. You can't.
Golly, man.
I wish I had my laptop and I wish everything was charged, but I don't know Mississippi State's record, and it doesn't matter to Mississippi State fans probably, but I don't know if they can be bowl eligible even if they win out. I don't know the record.
Their record is 4-4.
What?
4-4. They have Kentucky next week, which is winnable.
It is winnable at home, I think.
Texas A&M following week, and Southern Miss. So they have
Got
at
it.
least one.
So yeah, they need 2 more wins out of 4, and they can imagine Ole Miss is 10-1 going into the Egg Bowl, and Mississippi State shocks them and knocks them out of the playoff race at the SEC championship race.
Man.
All right, getting too ahead of ourselves. Let's see. Hey, I called this upset, and I'll talk about him later on. Arizona beats Oregon State 27-24.
Man, appreciate DJ.
Do what?
Wait, what'd you say? What game we talking about?
Arizona and Oregon State.
Yeah, DJ. However you say his name.
Oh, I didn't know what you said. I didn't even hear DJ. I just said, ooh. I was like, I didn't know what the hell you said.
DJ Oogabadoogie.
Oh my gosh.
We can edit that out.
Arizona has been hot as all hell. Even in losses, they've been hot. They have, since their starter, Jaden DeLora, went down, and he had a pretty good season last year and started off pretty ugly. He had 3 interceptions against Mississippi State the first half, a game where they still had a chance to win that game in overtime. He gets hurt in the Stanford game, and their backup quarterback, Noah Fafita, about 5'11", he is quick as all hell, and he's just been a stud for them. He came and won them the Stanford game, 21-20. He loses to Washington, 31-24. He beats. I might be cussing a little too much on here, but he beats the hell out of Washington State, 44-6, and then almost beats USC 43-41.
Yeah, I listened. I don't remember who it was, but I don't follow Arizona football at all. But I heard earlier this week that this team is totally different than the team that played Mississippi State, and I believe
it's
it
crazy. Absolutely, they are totally different. So their losses are Mississippi State, USC, and Washington. USC and Washington, not too bad of losses. Mississippi State one is a bad one, but they are 5-3 now. They should be bowl eligible and they definitely should go to a bowl game is what I'm saying, but they might even go bigger than that. 8-4. I mean, 9-3. That's in their view. That could happen. And it's crazy that this team made a turnaround like this. But that Fafita kid, he's a true freshman. And, man, he has been a beast.
Yeah, man. Pac-12 is awesome.
Dude, it is. It's so good. Let's go. Yeah, I feel. Let's go to the Big Ten, the most annoying conference in the country. Ohio State beats Wisconsin 24-10. Travion Henderson, a huge breakout game for him. Obviously, he had an amazing 2021 campaign, and then 2022 he was riddled with injuries. This season, he's also been riddled with injuries, but he had a huge game today, over 150 yards rushing. Marvin Harrison also has a game where he goes over 150 yards receiving, and he has been a stud. One of the best receivers in football, arguably the best.
Yeah, he's a cheat code.
Gosh, he makes Kyle McCord look like a top 5 quarterback in college football.
Yeah, dude, Big Ten is so bad this year. That game was so
Man,
bad.
it was. It
Wisconsin,
really was.
Wisconsin kept it close, and the whole time I had no feeling they were going to win ever.
No feeling at all. They just couldn't do anything offensively.
Yeah, I mean that could be the only thing carrying Ohio State is their defense.
Their defense is really good. I mean, really good. You don't see that defense from most Ohio State teams, which is cool with that Ryan Day has implemented that and focused on the defensive side of things.
Yeah, especially planning around not having C.J. Stroud anymore. Good
Yes.
job for Ryan Day.
Going from Justin Fields, C.J. Stroud to Kyle McCord, that's tough, man. And he's made it happen. They're undefeated. They are one of the best teams in college football, and they have everything in front of them.
Yeah, I still don't think they're a good enough team to beat Michigan, who seems so flawless on offense.
It seems like it's because they got everybody signed, you know.
Yeah, it's because they got freaking Heisman favorite J.J. McCarthy.
Oh boy! All right,
That is
another Big Ten game.
all right.
We'll get the Big Ten out of the way. I think I do have another game to talk about, but not too much. Penn State survives Indiana at Penn State. At home, they survive a 2-5, now 2-6 Indiana team.
So Penn State, I'll say it, even though I heard Josh Pate saying they're not overrated, they're properly rated.
Say
Penn
it.
State's overrated. Penn State's overrated.
They
James
are
Franklin overrated.
okay.
They are not a top 10 team.
Drew
They're
Aller
not.
is almost unwatchable.
Dude, it's horrible. Horrible.
I was so high on him because I thought he would be he wouldn't be relied on too much because of their 2 running backs. They got 2 studs at running back. You got Katron Allen and Nicholas Singleton, and he still does a lot. Drew Aller does, and he does not look comfortable. He does not look accurate, and he does not look mobile whatsoever. It looks like Tom Brady 3 years ago standing in the pocket.
Yeah, he was 20 of 31, 210 against a 2-win Indiana team. It's not a fun day.
Man, we didn't talk. I know we don't have to go back to this game at all, but we didn't talk about Dylan Gabriel's day. He was top 5 in my Heisman list, and that might be too high to begin with. But he barely had, I think, over 150 yards passing. Just a rough day for him. So probably dropped out of the Heisman race on that one.
That's on me.
Yeah. So, yeah, Penn State survives. Drew Aller throws a horrible pick up 24-21 late in the 4th quarter. Indiana can't do anything on offense, which isn't surprising. So they tie it up. And then late in the 4th quarter, Drew Aller throws a fantastic pass, and it ends up being a touchdown. They go up 31-24, and then their defense causes a safety. They win 33-24. This is one of those survive and advance wins. Don't look at film. Don't watch this too much because it's not a good win, but a win's a win.
Yeah, and coming off an emotional game against Ohio State.
That is true. Let's
The real
see.
reason that was also Indiana's Super Bowl, you know. That's why they showed up.
Your favorite quote.
I hate that argument.
Okay,
Josh
ACC
Pate,
stuff. Go
Josh
ahead.
Pate, if you are listening to this for some crazy reason, that's a stupid argument. Stop making it.
Josh Pate, my boy, my favorite podcast. Don't listen to my friend here. Going on to the ACC. North Carolina does it again. They choke again to a really bad's a stretch, but a mediocre Georgia Tech team led by the Texas A&M prodigy Haynes King.
Yeah, dude, I just expect it now. It seems like this happens quite often to North Carolina.
It does. They start off so good. They started off 6-0, top 10 in the country. Their only tough matchup on paper was at Clemson in 2 or 3 weeks. And that maybe that's not even tough anymore. But it doesn't matter now. It does not matter now. You had the perfect opportunity to go to the ACC championship almost undefeated. Probably on paper should be undefeated. And if you beat Florida State, you're in the college football playoff. I know that's a long stretch even then, but now it's impossible. You can't even do that anymore.
Yeah, but who would have thought Haynes King problem was Jimbo Fisher. Shocking. He played really good
Jimbo Fisher.
yesterday. Had a pretty
He
good year.
did. Absolutely, man. Kelsey's texting me a food order. I got to text her back real quick. North Carolina just choked it again. It's crazy how it happens to them every year.
So who's projected to go to the ACC championship? Florida State and who? Louisville. But then
Man,
I don't even know if they're on the same
Louisville,
side or not.
and no, it might be Louisville. Louisville's only loss is a horrible loss to Pittsburgh, but still, it's only one conference loss.
Yeah.
It might be Louisville. They don't play Florida State at all.
Yeah, I don't know. Florida State seems pretty solid. I don't think they'll lose.
I don't think so either. I don't
And
know what to make of the ACC, like I said before. Staying in the ACC, we'll just talk about it just for a second. Louisville shuts out Duke 23-0. Did not expect this at all. Riley Leonard, he played, but I don't think he was too healthy. And it was just ugly, an ugly game.
yeah, man, he was 9 of 23. I could accidentally do better than that with my left hand.
Maybe Louisville's just a tough ass place to play. Notre Dame never wants to go to Louisville again to play, and
Yeah.
Duke might not want to ever again either.
Yeah, dude, it's a rough day for Duke.
Absolutely. We got two more ACC games. Clemson goes down to NC State. Like we talked about before, NC State is not a basketball school, Steve Smith. I don't know where you got that from. Another horrible loss for Jim.
Yeah, NC State is definitely not a basketball school. They proved that. So
Oh, that's just such a funny narrative, man. They just have not been great at NC State. Last year they had Terquavion Smith in basketball, and they had PJ Burns, I want to say, and I think they made the tournament last year. But where does basketball school come from? I don't even know an NBA player from NC State.
Clemson threw the ball 50 times and put up 17
Gosh,
points.
Amadi. Another overrated quarterback that was hyped up all damn season. Cade Klubnik. Gosh, Amadi.
50 times.
What was his stats?
33 of 50 for 263 and 2 interceptions.
Oh, man.
Will Rogers
boy.
is probably dreaming of playing that Clemson offense, throwing the ball 50 times.
Replace Klubnik and Will Rogers, and they are 6-1 right now.
Dude, Clemson is really struggling life after Trevor Lawrence. It's been rough.
Oh man, it has been rough. I never thought about that. Since he's been gone, it has been terrible.
Yeah, they were in a national championship game 4 years ago.
That's crazy to think about.
Yep.
Miami and Virginia. Virginia has been crazy, just out of nowhere. They upset North Carolina last week. They were 1-6 going into that game. They upset North Carolina 31-27 last week, and then tonight they go into overtime with a good Miami team. Miami escapes them 29-26.
It seems like Miami's in an overtime game every week.
It does, don't it? They have in the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, Mario Cristobal has, for the most part, turned it around over there. 6-2. That's a good record for Miami compared to most years.
He has, and if they need the ball down, they're 7-1.
Yeah, you're right about that. I forgot about that.
Who has Miami lost to? They've lost to Georgia Tech, obviously, and North Carolina. But
I still don't think
that's
Tyler
what.
Van Dyke,
Go ahead.
Tyler Van Dyke's not a very good quarterback to me. Still,
I got you.
even after the wins.
I get what you're saying. They have a pretty good defense over there. They got Cam Kitchens over there, and he is a ball hawk. I mean, he is one of the best safeties or defensive backs in the country. Let's see. Kansas State. They're a close third in the Big 12 to me. They really are. I had this game on my laptop. I was expecting a pretty good game between these two. Houston coming off a pretty good showing against Texas last week. Boy, the refs messed that one up for them. Kansas State beats Houston 41-0.
Who has Kansas State lost to?
Kansas State has lost to, they've lost to Oklahoma State, which was a very, very shocking game, shocking loss. At the time, Oklahoma State has turned it around. They've lost to Missouri. And check and see if they have a third loss. I think it's just 2.
No, they're 6-2.
6-2. So they lost to Missouri on that game winning field goal by the thicker kicker, and Oklahoma State beat them 29-7.
Yeah, Kansas State. I like their offense. They had 3 different people throw a pass yesterday. The completion percentage is insane over there. They're drawing up routes. Really help the receivers out. Smart
And
offense.
see, Will Howard started for them yesterday after Avery Johnson he has been phenomenal for them. He really helped them turn it around. He's a great rushing quarterback, but Will Howard came in and looked really good against a bad Houston team or a bad Houston defense, and looked really good against them. 41-0 Kansas State. Guess who they have next week? They have Texas, Kansas State, and Texas, and keep in mind Texas will have Malik Murphy at quarterback, who looked phenomenal today, might I say. But yeah, Kansas State and Texas.
That'll be a good one. There'll be big implications for the Big 12.
Big implications, man. Speaking of Malik Murphy, he had a day against BYU, a game where I thought it'd be much more competitive. Texas wins 35-6.
Yeah, I had my doubts. I didn't predict an upset, but I didn't think it was going to be that big of a blowout without Quinn Ewers.
Yeah, I didn't think so either. A lot of people are really confused on why Arch Manning isn't starting. I mean, Malik Murphy, he would have had the job if Quinn Ewers wasn't there this whole year. That's how good he is as a backup quarterback. And when he can come in like this and show it, man, he is a stud. This is kind of his statement game on teams recruiting him for next season. Because there's about a 90% chance he's going to transfer, in my opinion. Politics, I don't see him starting over Arch Manning no matter what.
Yeah, no, you've got too much money invested in Arch. You got to start him after this year.
Yes. I wish it wasn't like that, but that's just the truth.
Yeah.
So huge coming out party for him, and a lot of teams, maybe even Arkansas, can look for him on the transfer portal, the NIL market.
I heard.
Go ahead.
You have a pretty good backup quarterback, don't you? A kid from Morrilton.
I don't know. I don't know how good he is, to be honest with you. There's a chance KJ stays, but I doubt it. I don't think KJ could stay just because he hasn't had a great season this year, and I don't think he'll go very high in the draft whatsoever. But he could also stay and transfer, so who knows?
How is KJ still eligible to come back?
I don't know. It feels like he's been there for 6 years.
He played against Joe Burrow.
That is a crazy stat. That's 2019. Let's go to the SEC. Oh, we'll stay in the Big 12. Finish the Big 12 off. Oklahoma State. They get Oklahoma next week, and in Bedlam, they get Oklahoma next week, and that's going to be a huge game. Obviously, a huge rivalry for them. They beat the hell out of Cincinnati today. I think it's 45-13. I don't have the score in front of me, but I think it's 45-13.
So who do you think Cincinnati is going to hire next to be a future Hall of Fame head coach? You know, they have Brian Kelly. They got Luke Fickell. And they're going to hire some random guy. They're going to hire some random guy off the streets that's going to end up being a Hall of Fame head coach. I'm just waiting for it.
Jace, consider me a casual. I had no idea Brian Kelly coached at Cincinnati.
Yep, Cincinnati and then Notre Dame.
When did he coach? What years was that?
Before I keep talking shit, let me make sure I'm right.
I'm trying to think of Cincinnati being good. I remember they beat Florida 2009 when Tim Tebow was still at Florida. Was that a year he was at Cincinnati? 2009.
He was at Cincinnati from 2006, 2009. Took the Notre Dame job.
Okay. That was the year Florida was undefeated and Alabama broke it open and won their first national championship with Nick Saban. But Cincinnati went on to beat that Florida team in the Sugar Bowl. I mean, bad, like ugly.
Yes,
Jace, I could be absolutely wrong on that. Check me on that one. Maybe it was the other way around. What team did Cincinnati beat really bad in those years? And it was a bowl game.
Yeah, Cincinnati beat them. No, Florida beat Cincinnati 51-24. The Super
Okay,
Bowl.
okay. Completely wrong about that one. I had the bowl game, I had the year, but just completely flipped around.
Yeah, man. No one would have called you out except for a Florida fan.
Yes, yes. Oh man, I can't. If somebody would have got that wrong about Arkansas, I'd be pretty pissed too. My bad, Florida fans. My bad. Okay, we talked about. I guess we didn't really talk about Oklahoma State. They have a running back. Ollie Gordon is a stud. He had over 200 yards today, I want to say. But they just dominated a pretty bad Cincinnati team, to be honest with you.
I mean, Ollie Gordon had 271 on the ground. Any running back has a day like that. Yeah. Any running back has a day like that, you can expect a W.
That's a stud of the week. Jay, I know this is our first podcast, everybody, so things are a little bit rough, but we're going to have a segment it's going to be called Studs of the Week. We might workshop the name, but we're going to have like 5 players that you never really hear of that just had a week. Just had a game.
Yeah, I'm
We'll
down
do
with it.
that sometime.
I have to do more research.
Yes, me too. What was I going to say? Oh,
Well,
but the 4 teams that came in the Big 12 today had a rough day. Cincinnati, UCF, Houston, and BYU 0-4 today.
man, you think Colorado's making a bowl game?
Man. We'll talk about that game now. UCLA wins 28-16 over Colorado. Tough game for Colorado going into UCLA, and UCLA is a good team, but Colorado needed this one for bowl eligibility. They got 4 wins on the season. This was a winnable game, and they needed it. Do you have the schedule at all?
I can look real quick. Man,
I mean,
that
they don't have
targeting
too many opportunities.
that targeting call on Shiloh was horrible.
Horrible. What a hit. What a damn hit. Shiloh will blow somebody up.
Man, what a player. So they have Oregon State next week
Okay.
in Arizona,
Okay, that's a good one.
and they close out week 13 against Utah.
Just a tough schedule. They only have 3 games left.
Yep.
Yeah, so this was a game they needed to get into bowl eligibility, to get into a bowl game, or at least get on that route to get into a bowl game. But now they have to win 2 out of 3 of those. Oh man.
I mean, Oregon State, I guess all of them are winnable, but God, that O-line is so bad. I don't know how they're
It's
going to
so
win.
bad. Shadur is running for his life back there, and still being phenomenal.
Yeah, they can't run the ball. He has to throw it every play.
They cannot run the ball at all.
He threw the ball 43 times. Only had 217.
Man, they got to. They have to throw the ball that much. Let's see. Staying in the Pac-12, what the hell is going on with Washington State? 4th straight loss to a bad Arizona State team. This team had one win coming into this game.
Yeah, Washington State's funky. Who did they play early in the season? Oregon State? They almost won.
No, see, they beat Oregon State. They beat Oregon State 38-35. They also beat Wisconsin. So they had 2 good wins right there. And they lost to UCLA at UCLA. Not a bad loss. Lost to Arizona 44-6. Last week, who did they lose to? Oh, Oregon. Oregon beat the hell out of them. But last night, Arizona State beats Washington State 38-27.
All right, let's get your top 10 right now.
Top 10 teams right now. Oh boy.
We'll go 1. I go 1, 2, 2, 2, 3, 3, like that.
Okay. I'm doing. My number 1 is Georgia.
Yeah, Georgia. I agree.
Georgia proved themselves today. Number 2. Oh, Jace, that's tough. I think I'm going to say Michigan. I think Michigan's my number 2 team.
Yeah, I agree with you.
Okay. Moving on to number 3. I hate to do this. I'm going Ohio State. Number 3.
I'm going to go Florida State.
Okay. Florida State has looked fantastic these past 2 weeks. My number 4 is I'm trying to think Florida State or Washington. Florida State or Washington. I think Washington has the better win. I'm going to put Washington at 4.
Yeah, me too.
Then Florida State at 5 for me.
Phantoms Ohio State.
Okay. Yeah, that's where. So I was at 3 Ohio State, and you're at 5 Ohio State.
Yeah, they just don't have that good of a win to me.
Okay. Yeah, I understand that. So to fill that out, 6.
I'm gonna go. Man, that's tough.
I almost want to put Oregon there. That's how
6.
good I
I'd
think
probably
they have been.
6. Yeah, I go Texas.
You go Texas? Okay. I'm going to go
Yeah.
Oregon at 6. I'll go 7, Texas.
I'll go 7 Oregon.
My 8 will be Alabama.
Yeah, me too.
Okay. 9, Oklahoma.
Man, I don't know. I,
I'm thinking, yeah, I might have to drop that too. Wow.
yeah, I'd probably drop them out of the top 10.
Who's 9? Penn State?
I can't do that either.
I'm trying to think where to put LSU, and I know they got 2 losses. I might have to.
I'd go.
I don't know.
I'm gonna go 9 Ole Miss.
Yeah, I got you. Yep.
That's what you're doing too.
Let me think about it. Ole Miss or Oklahoma? Ole Miss has the better loss. Their win is LSU. That's tough, Jay. To make a decision, I'll put Penn State 9.
And then 10, I got Oklahoma.
Yeah, I got Oklahoma 10, and LSU will be 11 for me. Oh,
Yeah,
crap, I
same.
didn't put Ole Miss. Good gosh. I don't know. I'd have to have them in front of me. This is hard. This is hard.
So, what's your Heisman ballot looking like? Your top
My
3 Heisman.
My number 1, Jaden Daniels. He's got a huge game this week at Alabama. We will be previewing that sometime this week. If he comes out with the win and he doesn't have to have an insane performance, but I think it's his. So number 1 for me is Jaden Daniels.
Yeah, I don't want to sound like a homer, but number 1 has to be Jaden Daniels. He's number 2 in passing yards, number 1 in total yards. He's top 10 in completion percentage, number 1 in passer rating, number 1 in passing touchdowns. This is before yesterday. He had a bye week yesterday.
Yeah.
And top 5 in rushing yards by quarterback.
He's just been unbelievable. And for people to discredit him just because of those 2 losses, which I know Florida State, that second half, he looked pretty bad in that second half against a good Florida State secondary. And that Ole Miss game, he put up 49 points.
Yeah, dude, that Ole Miss game was game of the year, I think.
Yes. What is my game of the year? I had it written down the other day. It might be still Oklahoma and Texas, if I'm not mistaken.
That was a good game.
That game was just unbelievable to me. But LSU and Ole Miss is right up there. My number 2. Oh, I'll give you my number 15 Heisman candidate, Jace.
Number 15?
Maybe number 25 Heisman candidate is J.J. McCarthy. He's my number 25th Heisman candidate.
You got him ranked pretty high.
The odds-on favorite to win the damn Heisman. How does that make sense? How does that make sense to voters?
I seen the other day that he was like number 30-something in passing yards.
It's been that, and that's the thing. He hasn't had to play many fourth quarters, but still, you can't. That's not an excuse for him.
No, especially a team that relies so heavy on the run. They don't even rely on him. I could go and run that offense efficiently.
Cade McNamara did it, and you saw what he did what he's been doing in Iowa. I know he's hurt for the season. I hope you get well, Cade McNamara. But man,
I hate F the Big Ten. I'll say it right now.
We can't do that, Jace. We're a college football podcast as a whole.
You can have some hate toward a certain conference.
The Big Ten is rough. Game of the year was last week, Ohio State and Penn State, and it was unwatchable.
Yeah, I just want to say, don't ever take me back to an Arkansas game ever again.
Hey! I have a question for you, Jace. What was the experience of going to your first Fayetteville game last week?
So I will say that I'll start off with the good.
Okay.
Right? For a smaller stadium, y'all had it well. It looked like a pretty good sized stadium for only 70,000. Grass was green as could be. Great grounds crew.
It's a cop out. It's copping out.
So now I'll start with the bad. The Arkansas football team, pretty bad. I mean, KJ looked bad on TV, I imagine, but in person, he was so much worse.
I mean, he just looked like he was defeated.
He was missing guys wide open. He was one read run type of day for him.
That's all it was. That's the thing. It's just it's one dimensional, it feels like. I mean, he has one option and he usually checks down. It's just been ugly. And I love KJ, man. I love KJ. But it's just been sad to see.
Sam Pittman's got to grow up here and start going for it on fourth down.
That was rough. Going the first drive of the game, it's 4th and 1 against a horrible Mississippi State team, and you kick a field goal. You also don't know what to do on a delay of game penalty where you don't know to take a timeout or have the best part of our offense, Cam Little, our field goal kicker, come out and try a long 50-yarder.
Yeah, dude. I'll continue with the bad. It's the only college football stadium I've ever been to where parking was so far away from the stadium.
It was horrible. We walked, for guys who didn't know, me, Jace, and my girlfriend and Jace's wife went to Arkansas and Mississippi State last Saturday. Probably the worst game in college football history, probably top 10 worst games in college football history. Mississippi State won 7-3, and it was just a horrible experience. Horrible experience.
Yeah, we'll try to do a thing once a year, a special podcast from a different city we go to every year for a football game. And
Absolutely.
If we would have done one last Saturday, it'd have been a pretty pissed off podcast. Everybody's hot and sweaty.
Oh my gosh, but it might have been a good one because of that. Nah, probably not.
Yeah, we
We'd
couldn't
have to
eat
have
around.
a lot of beers in us.
Couldn't eat around the stadium because it was so packed.
Gosh, man.
It's just a rough day. I don't know if
yeah,
you've ever been to Fayetteville or not, but our walk was straight uphill the whole time.
It was horrible. You talk about 3 or 4 miles. And Jace's wife is pregnant, so it was tough. It was tough. Okay, I think I have some questions for you to end the show. Let me see if I want to talk about any other games to end the show. Jimbo keeps his job.
Yeah, dude, his contract's too big.
Oh my gosh! If South Carolina went up 7-0, and then it was 24-17, a little late in the fourth quarter. But man, if South Carolina would have done it, I think he was out the door, and I was rooting for it so bad, bad.
Yeah, man, especially as an LSU fan, forget Jimbo Fisher. I hope he does nothing but fail at Texas A&M.
And that's the thing. Texas A&M has so many resources, and you have that head coach. It's tough. It's tough.
He had what was ranked the best recruiting class in history last year.
Yes. History. All right, Jace, my 3 questions for you are, okay, we already talked about J.J. McCarthy. We already talked about the first experience in Fayetteville. What player had the performance of the week? I'm putting you on the spot here. I know I probably should have told you this question. What player had the performance of the week?
Give me a second to think. I'm going to go to the game of the week.
Okay.
And say Jason Bean.
Okay. I do like that. Yes, he is. I do like that because but to me, it was more heart over anything. And that is not a discredit to him at all, but on paper, it wasn't great. But I mean, who cares? In that type of game, it doesn't matter. You went and you got the W. First time beating Oklahoma in over 25 years. Huge shout out to Jason Bean. My performance of the week, I got Noah Fafita, Arizona's backup true freshman quarterback, comes in and beats a top 12, I think they're number 11, Oregon State team, a hot Oregon State team. And just what he's done to that Arizona offense, he's turned the team around. The backup true freshman quarterback has turned the team around. I don't remember ever seeing that in a long time. So my performance of the week is Noah Fafita.
Yeah, good for him to be able to shine in a conference that's quarterback packed.
Absolutely. One day, well, I guess we can do that on a different podcast. We are going to rank the Pac-12 quarterbacks because that would be a fun one to do.
Just give your top 3 right now. Off top of your
Right
head.
now, Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, and oh man, it might be just because he's in my head, Noah Fafita. This
Top
year,
three.
obviously Caleb Williams is a stud and will go top 3, top 5 in the draft. But right now, that's my top 3 of this year.
Yeah, I'm going to say Michael Penix Jr., Bo Nix, Caleb Williams.
Okay, yep. I might just be too much in the moment on Noah Fafita. Obviously, I'd take Caleb Williams if I had a football team, for 1 year. But Noah Fafita, he's just on my head right now. I'm gonna take him number 3 in the Pac-12. All right, brother. That's all I got for this podcast. You got anything else, man?
Go Tigers.
Go Tigers, man. I hate hearing that on a podcast that I run, but I guess I got to have it. Guys, just bear with us. My girlfriend just walked in. Hopefully she's got some food with her. I'm a little hungry. So this is our first one. We'll just bear with us. We'll get some things right, get the video right, get the audio hopefully sounding better. But I appreciate y'all for listening. We'll see you in the next one. We'll have a preview out this week. We'll see you in the next one, guys. Appreciate it.
All right, brother.